Hey mathletes, we are going to take a look at dividing fractions, but instead of using the algorithm today, we are going to show fraction division through a model. All right, let's get started. So we have been using the algorithm to divide fractions. So we would remember to keep the first fraction, and then we change that division sign to a different operation, multiplication, and then we say flip the second fraction or use the reciprocal, and then we have a multiplication problem we would perform. So multiplying across numerators would give us a 9, multiplying across denominators would give us a 4. Now, normally a simplified improper fraction would be fine, but for our purposes today, because modeling does give us whole numbers as well, we are going to turn this into a mixed number, and that would be 4 goes into 9 twice with 1/4 left over. So the answer would be 2 1/4. So now we know what the answer is. I'm just going to write it down here because that is where we're aiming. And we are going to now show this through a model. So this area will represent the 3/4, and we'll see how that looks in a moment. We would use our other fraction here because what we want to do is see how many times 1/3 will go into 3/4. Just like if I'm dividing a 6 by a 2, I'm looking at how many times can I fit that 2 into a 6. So that is what our goal is, to see how that works. So we are going to set up a model to represent 3/4 first. So let's do that now. So I'm going to divide this area as carefully as I can into fourths. That is not perfect, but it will get the trick done here. And now I'm going to highlight 3 of those fourths. So now I have a visual representation of 3/4. I have something a whole divided into 4 parts. I've highlighted 3 of them. That is 3/4. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to represent 1/3 over here. So my first job, and I'm going to go the opposite direction. I've gone vertically in the first one. I'm going to go horizontally in the second one. And it doesn't matter which one you do vertically and which one you do horizontally, as long as you do one of each, and that will become clear in a moment. Now I'm going to, with my highlighter, I'm going to represent one of those thirds. So it doesn't matter which one I use, as long as I represent one of them. Okay, so now we have 3/4 represented, we have 1/3 represented. But remember, the idea of all of this is for us to divide. So I want to see how many times this can fit into this. Okay, I want to divide 3/4 by 1/3 and see how many times it fits in. The way it's set up right now, that would be very difficult, impossible to do. So I have to make sure that whatever I'm trying to compare here and fit in, everything has the same size. And the way I do that is by splitting both of these in the same way. So I've split this one into fourths vertically, so I'm going to split this one into fourths vertically. And I've split this one into thirds horizontally, so I'm going to split this into thirds horizontally. And now I have like-sized pieces to work with here. So this represents one of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of these like-sized rectangles we've created represents 1/3. Okay. Now, I have to think about what these are. These are 4 pieces, so they are fourths. Okay. Now, how many times will these 4 pieces fit into these? So let's count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this section represents one full time that 1/3 will fit into 3/4. So that's once, it fit in once. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that represents that 1/3 will fit into 3/4 twice, plus one more time. But we have one left over here. And that one is one part of these 4. So that is 1/4. Okay, so the fourths come from how many we have divided that 1/3 into. We've divided into 4 parts. So these are fourths. So that represents 1/4. So let's see here. We have 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 1/4 is 2 1/4. And we are check. All righty, let's try one more of these. So again, we're going to start with setting up our problem. And this time, we're going to be dealing with some different numbers. So the first model is going to represent 2/3. And we will be dividing 2/3 by 1/2. So again, I can do the algorithm here, change the operation, flip to the reciprocal, so I can see what the answer is and make sure I'm on track. So that's 4/3, but again, this modeling gives us whole numbers, so we're going to change that into a mixed number, and 3 goes into 4 once with 1/3 left over. So I know that that should be my answer when I'm done here. All right, let's take a look at this. So again, we're going to start by drawing our lines. Okay, and we're going to go vertically. So this time I need to divide this into thirds. So that takes 2 lines. And now I'm going to highlight 2/3. So any 2 of these will do the trick as long as they're side by side. So now I have 2/3 represented over here. Now I am going to divide the other one into halves. I'm going the other direction. I'm going to go horizontally, and I am going to indicate 1/2. Okay, again, can I see how this pink area will fit into this green area? Almost impossible to see that visually, but once I turn them all into the same size little rectangles, we'll be able to see it very clearly. So now I'm going to go back, and I'm going to divide this side into thirds so that we have all like-sized pieces we're dealing with, and I'm going to divide this one in half. So all our little rectangles are the same size, and now we can see how those rectangles fit. So again, let's take a look at a couple of things here. There are 3 pieces that make up the 1/2. So I know I'm dealing in thirds. So when we get to the end here, if we have anything left over, it's going to be a third, which matches what we know here. And 3/3, 1, 2, 3/3 make up 1. So let's go over here. I have 1, 2, 3. So that is 1. Those 3 make up 1 full 1/2. So it fits in once. Plus, I have 1 more left over, and that 1 is a third, plus 1/3. And of course, 1 plus 1/3 equals 1 and 1/3. All right. So now we're going to do a check and correct. So let me get the problem written down here. And then you are going to do this problem on your own. You'll stop the video, try it on your own, and then you will start the video again and check the work to make sure you're on track. So this one's going to be 3/4 divided by 2/3. So go ahead and stop your video, and we'll see you in a moment. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you have a beautiful model set up here, and your algorithm, when you did the division by your algorithm, it matched the answer you got when you modeled. All right, so we're going to begin and start here. We're going to divide this one into fourths. because we have to represent 3/4. So again, it doesn't matter if you start with vertical or horizontal. It matters that you do one of each so that you can create those rectangles. All right, let's go ahead, and the next thing you should have done is to fill in 3 of these fourths. Again, you do have to have them side by side, so it's easier to count them off. Okay, so now we have 3/4 represented, and we're going to go to our other model, and we're going to divide this into thirds. So 1, 2 lines gives us 3 sections, and we're going to highlight 2 of them. 1 and 2. Let's get that highlighted. Okay, so I need to divide this 3/4 by these 2/3. I need to figure out how many times this area fits into this area. And again, to do that, we are going to create like-sized rectangles on both sides. So I'm going to take this and divide into 4 sections. And I'm going to take this and divide it into 3 sections. And now everything is divided into the same size rectangles. I can start doing my work. So let's count and see how many of these rectangles 2/3 represents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 of these rectangles represents 2/3. And I know that if I have any left over here, they're going to be eighths because we have divided the 2/3 into eighths. All right, let's count this off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that means that that 2/3 fits into 3/4 once, and I have 1 left over, and again, that 1 is an eighth, and 1/8. Now let's just check our work with our algorithm. So I'm going to keep my first fraction. I'm going to change my operation from division to multiplication and flip or use the reciprocal of my second fraction. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 2 is 8. And 9/8 definitely is 1 1/8. 8 fits into 9 once with 1/8 left over. So we're good. Hopefully yours matched this. If it didn't, make sure you go back and make your corrections. And now we're going to math it up on our own. So our final problem is here. And I'm going to write it down for you. And we're going to do 1/2 divided by 1/5. So again, use your algorithm first or after to check your work. Make sure you're on track. You're going to set up your model for 1/2. You're going to set up your model for 1/5, and then you're going to make sure all the pieces are the same size so that we can see how many fit in. All right, well, thank you very much for joining today and advocating for yourself. It's good to be a strong mathematician, and peace, love, and pie to all. See you next time. Bye-bye.